Greetings, everyone. I think we will get underway. If we have any latecomers, Greg will bring those into the session. Welcome to this very special session for the International Tax Program of NYU Law School Friday Seminar Series. I'm Professor Miranda Stewart. I'm Faculty Director of the International Tax Program. So this is, we normally do have a Friday seminar series where we have leading practitioners, members from government, visitors giving a seminar in the ITP program. This is a one. We have our guest from overseas, from Ukraine, offering us a little bit of her very busy time. So our very special guest speaker for today, Ms. Lесі Карнаух, what I will say is Commissioner of the State Tax Service of Ukraine, or Acting Head of the State Tax Service of Ukraine, a role that Ms. Karnauch has held since June 2025. She previously held the roles of First Deputy Head and Deputy Head in the STS. With over 20 years of experience in the public service, Ms. Karnauch has held senior leadership positions in the government of Ukraine, including Deputy Chief of Staff at the Accounting Chamber of Ukraine, Deputy Head of the Regional Military Administration. The focus of Ms. Karnauch in this difficult role and difficult time is on modernizing tax administration through digital tools and data analytics, enhancing transparency and accountability, and improving taxpayer services. Ms. Karnauch also has a Master of Laws LLM degree from Odessa National Academy. So the title of the presentation is Keeping the Wheels Running Under Pressure. Ms. Karnauch, if you would like to share your screen now from your end, we can begin the presentation. And also, thank
you very much, Miranda, for the presentation. It's a big honor for me to use this opportunity to present my country and my organizations. We are such honorable friends, and actually from the starting point I want to send greetings to the professor also for Rosenblum. Thank you very much for your support, and we are currently working on the draft of our MOUs. For us it's very important your assistance in our reform agenda, and also thank you very much, Sergey, for the connection. And firstly, I will try to make my presentation as interesting as it possible, and I hope that participants of such webinars, such online meetings, will find some additional information about my country, because for me personally it's very important to share the visions among all the world that the Ukrainians is really very modern, very relevant to everyone, and looking for the success and looking for the happiness as originally the citizens of the world want to have. So actually, if you don't mind, I will switch to my presentation, and I will briefly give you opportunity to dive into our reality. And actually, let's start from the beginning. Do you see the presentation? Yeah, okay, so the first slide, please, the previous one.
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, as I already told you, that it is an honor for me to speak to you today and have the opportunity to represent Ukraine in a discussion about economic resilience and the strengths of democracy. Keeping the wheels turning under pressure, it's not like a metaphor for Ukraine, it's our reality. For almost 4 years now, as you know, our country has been operating under conditions of full-scale invasion of Russia Federation. And despite the constant attacks and shelling, our country continues to live and continues to work. And the system of our democracy acts. The government and local authorities operate. The judiciary functions. Ukrainian civil society proves every day that freedom is the basis of our life. Today, I will talk a little bit about how Ukrainian's tax system has adapted to the war. I mean the challenges we faced and the unique solutions we created. We will focus on revenue mobilization to the budget, maintaining the service function to support our people during the hardest time in our history. And I will share our experience, but at the same time, I sincerely wish that you never have to apply that in practice, our experience. So the next slide, please. The State Tax Service of Ukraine, it's our official title, is a part of the broader architecture of public administration in Ukraine. We are coordinated by the Cabinet of Ministers, it's our government, through the Ministry of Finance of Ukraine. So we have our missions as organization, and our mission is so. We are fully transparent, modern, and technology-driven tax service that provides high quality and user-friendly services to taxpayers, efficiently administers taxes, fees, and payments, and demonstrates zero tolerance to the corruption. Every day, more than 19,000 professionals across Ukraine ensure the stability of the tax system. So in Ukrainian perspective, we are quite big organizations with big number of employees. We administer taxes and control the fulfillment of tax liabilities, digitize processes, and implement analytical tools to reduce pressure on taxpayers and build trust. Trust is very much needed, and also the balance and justice. These three words is very much needed by Ukrainian society, and not only as the taxpayers, but as just as citizens of our country. So the STS operates as a single legal entity, and it allows us to maintain flexibility and uninterrupted tax administration in Ukraine, even under martial law and intense pressure of the state institutions. So from the very first hours of the full-scale invasion, it became clear the tax system had to remain operational, and the financial resilience of the state largely depend on it. We faced a number of serious challenges. The most critical was ensuring the continued functionality of the system that secures revenue collection. At the same time, we had to ensure that digital services kept working without interruption and the data remained protected. We also needed to support businesses in such critical conditions and maintain effective communication with taxpayers 24/7. So we did everything possible to ensure that STS remained stable and accessible. We applied the exterritorial principle in the operation of taxpayer service centers, which allowed individuals to contact any center regardless of their place of registration. You know that in our country that taxpayers registered in the concrete region, and that's why it's very, it brought flexibility to the STS and to the taxpayers. So all services remained available online. For internal operations, we established mobile tax offices, transferred functions from the occupied territories to more stable and safe regions, and relocated infrastructure to the safer zones. Regarding cooperation with other government institutions, we ensured uninterrupted interaction via our nation Trumbita system, it's the IT system, and processing up to 2 million requests per day from the 40 state entities. This was critically important, especially as many people lost their documents during the evacuation or due to the destruction of their homes. Thanks to the interagency data exchange, the process of restoring personal documents was fast and efficient, enabling mothers with children to cross the border safely and save their lives. You know that we had problems with refugees. So taxpayer safety for us, it wasn't like just words. It was one of our priority. And at the outset of the war, we set a clear objective to ensure uninterrupted and accessible service for taxpayers, regardless of their location. This approach has been especially important for internally displaced persons and businesses forced to relocate. We provide 146 types of administrative services to over 3.5 million business taxpayers and 32 million citizens of Ukraine. We also modernize our contact center. We have the special platform for communication with taxpayers, our contact centers, and we reduced response time by 50% and increased the volume of processed inquiries by 20%. Millions of inquiries are now being handled, and the war has brought changes to tax legislation, including rate increases such as the military tax, which require timely clarification for taxpayers. And the military tax currently raised by 5%, and before it was 1.5%. So, and also in the digital age, the taxpayer's electronic account has become the core of tax services. In 2024 alone, 14.7 million documents were submitted through the system, confirming a full transition to electronic interaction. All 121 reporting forms have been converted to electronic format. So actually, currently we operating with the electronic form of reporting. Of course, based on our tax code, our taxpayers also can supply their reports via papers approach, but actually it's quite easy for them to use the electronic system and their personal electronic cabinet. Taxpayers now have access to over 130 online services through the account. The most popular features include submitting documents, accessing personal tax information, using QR codes for tax payments, integration with 12 state registers, and the electronic account for the citizens. And I can, as a leader of the state tax service, can be proud that actually we have the biggest data center from all businesses and from all citizens, and we provide with this data more than 40 government institutions, and a lot of our services, especially in the social and humanitarian spheres, they use actually our data. And also what is very important provide for the citizens the feeling of the continuity of the life is to maintain the stable communication. So in such severe times, the calm and uninterrupted communications with taxpayers is the core for the maintaining the process of revenue collections. And we put a lot of efforts in our external and also in our internal communications. And during wartime, it also takes a different role. It becomes a tool for building trust. That is why we changed our approach. We no longer only inform, we engage in a dialogue. We update information daily across our official platforms to reflect current realities. In parallel, we actively communicate via Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and messenger-based chat platforms. We do not have X, actually very popular in Ukraine, so we use our official channels, and also we add the Instagram because it's quite popular among the younger generations, but we do not have X as official, and I know that in the USA it's quite popular tool for communication. But anyway, hotlines, we have the hotlines and it's operating in every region. Direct communication is not just a channel. It is proof of transparency and the service willingness to cooperate. And cooperation, assistance, support, maintaining, sharing of information, all give feeling for our citizens, taxpayers, businesses, everyone, that we are alive and we continue to work, and it's very, very much needed by our society because of such difficult times. So actually, using this and taking in the mind, and also based on my experience from the regional military administration, in September this year, we have launched a new initiative for the dialogue, for the maintaining of dialogue with taxpayers, is tax consultants offices. And it was like our next step in developing of the tools for supporting our taxpayers. And this is spaces where every taxpayer can receive professional assistance and clear guidance. Our aim is to ensure that both entrepreneurs and citizens are not left alone when navigating complex tax regulations. The offices were opened in 20 regions and already operate at full capacity. In total, nearly 1,500 tax officers have been engaged in the project. Most importantly, the client satisfaction rate stands at 97%. And I also can say that and can admit that this dialogue is not only for the taxpayers, it's quite a successful project for the internal communications and for the employees of the state tax service, because it's something new. It's brought new opportunity for improving their skills to work with taxpayers. And for me, a few weeks ago, I received a call from one of the leaders from the regional branch, and she started her conversation with the words, "You know, it works, it works. They increase the level of payment paid into 5 million because we just gave them consultations." And she was so motivated, and I was really very satisfied with the very quick and fast results of these from the Simply initiative. So actually, it's a very, very interesting experience. So these offices are not just a new service, they are a network of care. Everyone in our country needs some additional symbols of care, so we are trying to give it, even we as collectors of the tax, we are trying to give it feeling to our citizens. So together with the taxpayers, we are approaching our goal, that is not control and punishment, but partnership, consultation, and trust. Our goal is to help avoid mistakes, reduce the number of disputes and penalties, increase tax literacy, and strengthen confidence that the STS stands beside taxpayers, especially in difficult times. Each office hosts a team, at least 6 experts, who provide consultations across key areas: taxation of individuals and legal entities, electronic reporting, tax audits, disputes, cash registers, transfer pricing, suspension of tax invoices, and adjustment calculations, and more within all the functionality of the STS. Also, we are trying to be modern and to improve our analytical skills. For us, it's very important because currently we are trying to establish, we are drafting with our international partners, with our national partners, the methodology for tax compliance gap. And in aim for the increasing the level of mobilization of revenues and implementation of national revenue strategy, it's very important to improve our analytical approaches. And taking and having it in mind, we create and we launched this analytical dashboard. And this dashboard for monitoring tax revenues to the general fund of the state budget. And this is a modern digital tool available on our website that allows anyone to view in real time how tax revenues are formed, which takes generate the most funds, and how we are meeting our planned indicators. The data is presented in a simple visual format, while the analytics remain deep and insightful. The dashboard allows users to compare revenue across different periods, analyze year-on-year dynamic, and identify the share of each tax in the overall structure. It is a useful tool for taxpayers, the public, and our own team within the system. And we are not stopping there. Together with experts, we are working on the next stage, forecasting of the tax revenues, taking into account seasonality, legislative change, and unforeseen factors. And you know that we have a broad spectrum of the unforeseen factors, sadly. And our ultimate goal is to make the tax system even more understandable, transparent, and future-oriented. And let me give some visions about our conditions for operating for the businesses. And of course, we are really very connected and with businesses around Ukraine, and we need to have understanding of the current conditions and situations in that, and especially quite difficult and complicated situation in the frontline territories. And that's why we have first to make some unusual steps in aims to give for taxpayers capability to continue to work. And so in such conditions, the priority is preserving businesses, jobs, and the potential for the restoring economic activity. That is why taxpayers located in frontline areas affected by military actions are entitled to temporary exemption from fulfilling their tax obligations. This applies to both legal entities and individuals who, due to the consequences of Russian aggression, are unable to meet their obligations because of war. Tax relief includes extension of deadlines for filing tax reports and making payments of taxes, fees, and mandatory contributions, exemption from penalties for late registration of tax or excise invoices, and for violations related to the use of the cash registers. And in other words, the taxpayers were granted additional time to meet their tax obligations and protection from fines when compliance was hindered by the war. And also, during martial law, Ukrainian legislation established a special procedure for tax inspections and control activities. Specifically, a moratorium on most tax audits has been introduced, significantly reducing pressure on businesses during wartime. Exemptions are in place to allow effective control in high-risk areas. Current legislation protects taxpayers from being assessed tax liabilities by controlling bodies without proper supporting documentation, while still allowing the state to support business during war and maintain effective tax oversight in critical sectors. Few words about STS. The STS works with over 3.5 million business entities, including 2.1 million individual entrepreneurs and 1.4 million legal entities. Between 2022 and 2025, the number of taxpayers, and I can emphasize this message, increased by 2,064. And for me personally, as Ukrainian, it's like a symbol for our willingness to continue to live in our country and to continue to operate successfully in our state. So these are entrepreneurs, companies, and organizations that form the foundation of Ukraine's economy. The STS interacts with them daily on matters of taxation, administration, and service support. We have recorded an active trend of relocation by businesses and individuals from dangerous territories, and it's obviously. Thanks to swift action of our regional tax offices, taxpayers were able to freely change their place of tax servicing, allowing them to remain within the legal framework. Due to martial law, general mobilization is in effect in Ukraine, and men of conscription age are subject to military service in the armed forces. This has posed a serious challenge even for government institutions, including the STS. The ability to reserve critical personnel from mobilization played a vital role in maintaining operational stability. Most of our experts, particularly in IT, critical infrastructure security, and classified operations, are men subject to conscription. Thanks to this reservation mechanism, we were able to avoid a critical staff shortage that could have led to disruptions in IT systems, data center operations, and information security. The decision helped preserve a team of highly qualified professionals responsible for maintaining uninterrupted tax services and protecting state data. At the same time, part of our workforce is serving in the armed forces. 584 employees have been mobilized. As of today, the STS employees is 19,383 people. Compared to 2022, the number of employees has decreased by more than 5,000. And currently we have around 77% we are women in our STS. But the numbers and decreasing of numbers, the explanation is not only because of the war, but it's also the result of our organizational reforms and institutional reforms. So we decreased the numbers of our staff. Safety of employees. Our functionality and operability, it's only because of the people who works on a daily basis and to maintain the STS as a government institution. So we understood that only when people feel protected, then can they effectively perform their duties. We immediately equipped shelters in tax service premises with supplies of water, medicine, and food. Remote work formats and a flexible approach to delays caused by air raid alerts turned out to be a decision for employees to fulfill their duties. The employees from the temporarily occupied territories were granted the opportunity to transfer and work in other regional units. We also developed internal guidelines, established data backup procedures, and defined clear action algorithm in the event of life-threatening situations. To ensure safety, we developed an official evacuation procedure for wartime conditions. Compliance with this procedure is mandatory for all STS territorial bodies located in frontline areas. The evacuation instruction is supported by a step-by-step action algorithm, which includes responsible persons, identified assembly points, formed evacuation lists, and evacuation of personnel documents and assets with list control in cooperation with local authorities and emergency services. But despite that fact, war is going, and actually we have problem with our infrastructure, and the full-scale war has caused significant damage to the infrastructure of the STS. Some facilities were damaged or destroyed as a result of shelling, while others were lost due to the occupation of the territory. The largest losses were recorded in Kharkiv region, 12 facilities, Donetsk and Mykolaiv regions, 11 each, and Dnipropetrovsk region, 9. Dozens of administrative buildings and taxpayer service centers have been lost beyond government control, complicating the operations of the tax system. Nevertheless, the STS continues to maintain stability through remote services and flexible work organizations. So additional losses you can see also on the slide. Restoration of damaged facilities is being carried out with the support also with our partner, and one of the bigger is the Global Empowerment Mission, actually in partnership with Howard G. Buffett Foundation, who is a citizen of the USA. So even in that case, we have support and assistance from the USA. Next slide presents a visual overview of the destruction of our premises across various regions, and you can see. I think that it's not necessary to give explanation, and in our case, premises, just the premises. What we are trying to protect, the lives of our employees, of our citizens and taxpayers. So I definitely believe that we will restore everything in the nearest future, and we increase the level of collection revenues to the state budget. As I already said, that the most valuable for us, it's our people. That's explain the next positions in these 3 words: people, information, and property. And we are trying to follow to these stages of work. So we quickly implemented a range of crisis response solutions. We ensured uninterrupted remote access to all core information systems for our staff, regardless of their physical location. In parallel, we adapted digital tools to meet new wartime challenges. Software systems were quickly updated to enable effective tax administration, even in relocated units. And a key role in this process was played by the single legal entity model, which allowed for a seamless transfer of responsibilities between departments across the country. In regions affected by active hostilities, administrative powers were quickly transferred to safer locations. These ensured uninterrupted service delivery and prevented any breakdown in operations. And on next few slides, you can see the results of a broad list of our efforts. And the year 2022 became a year of both trials and determination. Despite the full-scale war, the STR ensured more than 1.09 trillion hryvnias, so it's actually more than 26 billions of US dollars in revenues to the consolidated budget. These accounted for more than half of total budget revenues that it was before. Compared to 2021, these increase of 2.39 billions of dollars, or nearly 10% growth. The backbone of this stability consisted of key taxes, of course: VAT, corporate income tax, personal income tax, and excise tax. The most significant growth was recorded in personal income tax and VAT, a clear indicator that the economy remains active and taxpayers are meeting their obligations responsibly. The first 3 quarters of 2025 showed even stronger growth. The total revenues amount to 3.1 trillion of US hryvnia, so other numbers you can see on slides. More, you can see it. So we can admit the growth of 22% in comparison with the previous periods. Core revenue generating taxes remain a strong foundation for the state budget even during wartime. VAT continues to dominate as a structure of tax revenues, being highly sensitive to consumption and imports. Corporate income tax maintains a positive dynamic, reflecting the resilience of businesses under crisis conditions. VAT remains stable and a result of sustained employment and wage payments. Excise tax revenues are also increasing, both due to rate increase and enhanced control over excisable goods, particularly tobacco products. Special attention should be paid to the military levy, which has been set at 5%, as I already told you, since this year. This is not just another tax, it represents a direct contribution from every citizen to the country's defense capability. The rate increase has significantly boosted revenue amid growing security and defense needs. Thus, we are enhancing the tax front. We are strengthening it through digital solutions, robust security, quality service, and public trust. So, and we still continue to work. We have a broad agenda of reforms. And what is main for that period that we have been implementing for 2 years the National Revenue Strategy. It's our main policy document, and we are implementing it, but we are trying to be stable during the wartime. Any case, if we talk about our future, I think that quite in good positions to change in some spheres drastically the policy in the taxation. And for the STS, it's very important to be prepared. Aimed at these and taking into account our path to the EU integration and be responsible partner in the performing the international duties in the sphere of taxations, we actually has established the international working group with proposals to find solutions how to continue to be stable in the revenues collection and also to give the enough level of feeling freedom for the business operating in our country. So actually, we are on the quite early stage of discussions for the next period, how it will look, the tax system of Ukraine, who will be responsible for each part, and of course, what we will definitely develop, it's our digital tools, because we are quite digital state service, and we will maintain this course in the nearest future, along with other broader list of reforms. Any case, it's not everything about the whole system of taxation of my country, because I can talk without any stops. But I will stop there because I was trying to focus on some difficulties maybe and our solutions and how we were agile in our approach to continue to operate. So thank you very much for that opportunity once again. Thank you very much for the attention, and I'm really ready to answer on all your questions.
Many thanks indeed, Commissioner Karnauch. It's a really very fascinating, very challenging time for you, very sobering for us to listen to what it's like for you running an organization like this. Your title is really perfect, keeping the wheels running under pressure, and we all understand how much pressure that is. Perhaps we don't understand, but we get a small idea from your presentation about the pressure. So we do have a few questions in the chat, and I have so many questions, but I might go in a little bit of different order. Just a few brief ones for you. So the first one, which was also a question that I had, I think you partly answered, but you could say a little more. We have Yiting Cho is one of our ITP students, and he asks, could you explain what a military tax is? How does the design of this military tax? So my question was sort of, is it a surtax on the income tax? Could you tell us a little bit more about that? And then I have other questions for you also.
Yeah, of course, I can explain it very briefly that it's like an additional part of the personal income tax. And because each individuals in our country have obligations to pay the personal income tax, and rates is 18%. And additionally to that, each individuals in our country should pay the 5% from the all incomes that person have as a military tax. And it's very much needed because of the increase in the level of expenses for the defending of our country. So as far as I know, and I had discussions with my colleagues from the EU unions, they also increase the rates for the military tax, but not in so high rate as we, because we were forced to do it. We need to increase the level of collection of monies for the continue to be stable as a country. So this is just a part of the personal income tax. Maybe it's additional part.
No, thank you. That's very interesting. And just while we're talking about taxing workers, if you like, or taxing the main income tax, are you also still maintaining the Social Security taxes and Social Security pension fund? Is this something that you have still being maintained in Ukraine?
Yes, we have it, and this currently we are trying, and we have discussions with our pension fund, who will be responsible for the administration, because it's not naturally the tax. It's like a social contribution for the maintaining some groups of people in different situations. So currently we're discussing in the process of discussion within governments who will be responsible for administration. But yes, we still continue to allocate into the budget the social contributions and the pensions duties. So yeah, we have pensions fees.
Yeah, that sounds very important for the longer term, as you say, to try to maintain it, although I understand it's difficult when the government needs revenue now, of course, challenging to do that. So another question that we have in the chat from Lucas, one of our ITB students also. This is a question perhaps all of us have. You have so many different challenges. Which one is the most difficult? Are you able to identify one that is the most challenging?
The most challenging for us right now?
Or the most challenging challenge that you have right now, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I will give answer in two ways. So first one, as a human, the most challenge for me is to receive information about the death of our employees from the front lines, and to accept this information. and it's like a person. And if I talk as a leader of STS, of course, for me is quite hard to accept the informations about losses of infrastructure or other facilities from our taxpayers, because every time when we receive that information, that means that our next plans under pressure of be implemented, and that's mean that we need to find other quick solutions how to overcome these losses and how to make the payment stable. And every time we have like a position of crisis managers, and of course it's quite exhaustive exercise, and it's in collocation with pressure from the air raids, air attacks. Sometimes you do not have enough time for sleep, and everywhere. I think that, of course, to find quick, fast solutions is the most challenging way. But any case, it's also from other side a very, very interesting exercise. And in terms of the personal development for each employees around the STS, it's a very good, and I think that we will oversight the results in next few years.
Thank you. Thanks for that. I can only imagine what it's like. I guess the analogy we would have in some other countries is if you have a weather crisis or a big storm, a hurricane in one area, it damages the equipment and the people are at risk. You have this every day. There are a couple of other questions in the chat. I have a couple of other things I'd like to ask you before we get there. So just very briefly, your presentation has a lot of information about technology and data and the use of mobile systems. I went onto the QR code and I see the Ukraine e-cabinet. I can't read it, but I can see that this is available. So you are really using mobile technology, cloud computing, of course, then data storage is really important, and you have a focus on this, and offshore or storage where you can keep it safe. Is this a really big technological 2022, or has Ukraine, is this something you've been doing for 10 years or more, but you have this technological leap to move to the mobile technology in the crisis situation?
Yeah, of course, it's not like our last achievements from the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Of course, we have experience to develop our IT system since our establishing, and actually the first IT system in the tax administration has launched in middle of 90s, and e-cabinet, as far as I remember, it's the beginning of 2000s. So currently we are trying to develop our IT systems. We have at least 17 IT systems which are connected to each other, and what we are trying to do is to modernize them, to use them reliable for the users, to make it friendly for the users and for the taxpayers firstly, because Ukraine as a country is quite high developed in IT spheres. I do know that you know that we have such applications in our mobile phone as DIA. DIA is very useful, and around 21 million of our citizens use these applications on daily basis, and also we use it for communication with our taxpayers. So some kind of tax our citizens can pay via DIA. So actually that's may make some pressure on other systems, because our citizens get used to the very, very flexible and quick solutions in the IT sphere and want to have the same level of development in other systems, and it's quite expensive, of course, every time. And we need to find balance between our expenses and our pass on improvements. And of course, it's very important to be transparent and to explain to taxpayers that, please, okay, we will do it, but step by step. And actually, in 2020, since 2024, we receive undisputed evidence and proofs that the level of digitalization definitely will serve for the safety and security and for our citizens and for the making reality the unstoppable business operating in our country. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's very, I think you are much more technologically advanced than actually many other country personal tax systems. It's kind of, and this maybe has an extra push.
Soft question. Do you think maybe part of what's helpful is a feeling of patriotism? So maybe people are happier to pay their taxes?
It depends. It depends on different circumstances and different conditions around that persons and different staging timelines. So actually, I can say that from the early stage of full-scale invasion, the level of patriotism, actually, it was like a motivation to pay more.
Yeah.
But in the same time, the economic rules, it is something very obligatory for the operating in businesses. So actually, I think that a lot of savings and big part of capital from our citizens were used via different types of payments, not only for the taxes, but for the some funds, charity funds, I mean, and so on and so on. So actually, yeah, we had some symbols of the connections between the patriotism and the level of payments. But any case, if you talk about the business and economic, of course, we need to follow the economic rules and create the conditions for involvement of capitals. And we need to talk about how to reach the positive financial results for the taxpayers, not only just for the turnover, but also for the positive financial results. So sometimes, of course, I be open with you that we can manipulate by these things in communications, in the private communications with taxpayers. And we can, as a government, use these way of communications, but of course without basement from the economics and from the financial side, from the level of investments, it's quite difficult to use just patriotism for increasing the level of payments.
Yes, I can see that one of my questions, which I won't go to now, I have so many, we could perhaps talk another time, but was about the level of business and economic activity, which of course underpins the business tax and the corporate tax. But very conscious of the end of our time here. So I have a last question for you, perhaps for your kind of closing remarks. I'm sorry, I perhaps can't get to all of them. We have a couple of different questions in the chat, and I maybe combine the themes of these. They're really about the short-term thinking and then longer-term thinking. Short-term impact of the crisis. You've told us something about the short-term impact now, and maybe longer-term impact of the war on the system and on the economy. So I guess you're making decisions now. You said something about the national revenue strategy and already trying to think ahead for the future, but do you have any final remarks about the tax system of the future, or how you are balancing the crisis thinking and the long-term thinking? And then I know we need to finish.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think that the most challenging time for us is also the most convenient time for make some brave reforms in this sphere of taxation, because based on the history, I do not remember the time when the citizens or businesses were satisfied by the level of rates of tax or something like that. It's a quite complicated topics for each country and for each period in the history. But I think that it's a good time for Ukraine to use this opportunity and to make the very brave steps in aim to reform the quite bureaucratic and complicated system of taxation. And I think that reducing of barriers and barriers for operating of businesses, for involvement of capital, and make it in clear and brave way, it's very much needed. And I think it's like our chance to be stable in the nearest and longer perspective. So actually, I know a lot of the people from the governments, and not only from the governments, from the businesses and everyone who are ready to be partner in very complicated spheres of drastic reforms of the system of taxation. And I think we need to use this opportunity, despite the fact that we have feelings of the pressure from the wartime. But any case, also history showed us that we have something very stable in the world. The rules of economics is stable, and just that producing is connected to the consumption, and so on. These basement for the all operations, and of course we need to create conditions where it be easy to have the quite cheap capitals for the launching of businesses and for the spreading the business in other spheres. And also a lot of things should be done right now. Not then, but right now. And that's why I'm trying to motivate all my staff to think not only about the current circumstances or past time or difficulties or challenges. It's a negative sign. What we want to look into the future and do it now, and do not wait for some good future conditions ahead.
No, thank you very much, Commissioner. And I know in every country it feels like it is never the right time for tax reform. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And so I think your stance that now is the time to be thinking, and your global connection to the Global Forum, the plans for the EU, the plans for engaging internationally to support business investment, these seem really important. So I think we need to wrap up there. I'm so grateful for your time, given that you probably work 20 hours a day and don't get much sleep. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining. We will circulate the slide, provide the recording to you in Ukraine, and if you're happy, we may promote it further. Thanks again very much for joining us, and all our goodwill and good luck for going forward.
Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you. Let's stay in touch. See you.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining.